Hi, this is Jack and welcome to States Unlocked. So today I want to talk all about being scared to be who you truly are. So this is the second video I'm making in this vulnerability series where I'm trying to be more who I actually am. This is mainly for myself, but it's also for you because I realize that putting up a facade is just, you can't connect to it. And by me pretending that I've got everything squared away and having this pretense, it doesn't help you. It doesn't help me either because it feeds into this idea of shame, of like actually showing who the hell you are. And it really is the bravest thing to do to just be ourselves. But it's also the thing that's going to make us feel good, okay? So I just wanted to have a little talk, I suppose, today about why we are scared to be ourselves, where that even comes from in the first place, and what we can do to start to kind of integrate that more. Now, this is going to be me kind of like, there's no script to this video. It's all about me just exploring it as I'm going along, and just seeing kind of what intuition brings me, okay, in terms of like insights and knowledge and things like that. So I have been very scared to be myself, and that is quite, again, like, I mean, it feels great actually being vulnerable. Like, it really is starting to feel good, although it's still scary. I mean, again, totally fine with being vulnerable with people I know, but when it comes to people on the internet, like, I mean, I'm still kind of traversing that territory, but I never used to be so like this. I would say, at least not consciously. When I was in my early 20s, I lived in six different countries. I was very like, I mean, I definitely had stuff going on with my mental health that I wasn't even aware of. I definitely had a lot of things that I hadn't worked on yet. However, I was very much like, kind of, oh yeah, this will work out, and just, I guess, that natural confidence in myself. And then one thing or another, like, well, some major life events happened in my life, which kind of really took me away from who I am and myself and my inner voice and my inner knowing. And then met some not so great people and discovered people that I already knew weren't really great. And then some people, it took me a long time to discover they weren't great and all this stuff. And it basically led me further and further away from myself. Okay, so I always think about it like being like almost like being lost at sea and just being flailing around and just feeling like I'm so far from the shore and it's scary and I don't know kind of how to get back to myself. Um, and I just want to talk about that today because maybe you can relate to it in some way or another. Maybe you feel like you've lost a part of yourself. Maybe you miss your old self. Maybe you don't. Maybe none of this is resonating, but hopefully it is. And because I want to kind of like confront this part of me, that is, yeah, the defensive part, the part that's standing in my way, all this stuff, right? So I've had a lot of therapy. I'm actually a therapist myself. That's part of the reason I got a lot of therapy was to like become a better therapist, but also just to work on my own stuff. Um, and one particular model that I really like is called IFS, Internal Family Systems Model. It's also called parts work. So the whole idea in a nutshell, you can look into, I might make some videos on it maybe in the future, I don't know. But the whole idea is that we are made up of lots of different parts. So yes, I'm Jack, but Jack is not just one part. There's a lot of different parts that make up Jack. Okay, there's the confident part, there's the outgoing part, there's the part that speaks his mind, there's the part that feels deep shame, there's the part that feels trauma, there's all these different parts, okay? And they're all within me. And sometimes those parts can be at war with one another, and sometimes those parts can be drowning out other parts, okay? So, for example, like I said, years ago, I was like traveling and doing all this stuff. That was very much the kind of like confident part of me, the part of me that was like fearless and all this stuff. Then I had life experiences, and the more cautious part of me kind of, I suppose, like shut that other part down. I was like quieted that other part, that confident part, that part that wanted to just live his life and not be scared and this kind of thing. And then, of course, it's on the surface of it, like, I hate this part, I hate this part. I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you sabotaging me? Why are you doing all this stuff? But there's a book, I haven't actually read it yet, and I do plan to read it at some point, but it's called No Bad Parts. It's all about parts work. I've heard it's great. Um, but the whole idea, the reason it's called No Bad Parts is because all of the parts have positive intention. That's the whole idea. Like, so if we go to war with this part, like, for example, like this confident part, this part that's kind of like being like, no, 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 but this might happen, the fear. If I was to just like look at that part and be like, I hate you, all this stuff, it doesn't help. It really does not help at all. And it's just gonna perpetuate this disintegration, this fragmentation that happens from trauma. Um, and I mean, might happen from just life in general. I don't know, again, because I'm kind of leaning into the fact that I don't have all the answers. And even though I know that, like, not pretending that I have all the answers because I don't. So anyway, the whole point is that this is the part that's kind of scared and stuff, and I think that it can rob us of a lot of joy and a lot of happiness and a lot of what we're really here for, which is to discover who we are and be who we are, okay? Because it's too busy kind of like thinking, what if this happens? What if that happens? And, being a therapist, I've learned how normal these things are within me, the anxiety, the fear, the trauma, the shame, all of that stuff that I don't like, that I don't, I well, that I previously would have never wanted to admit. I would have just been like, yeah, everything's good. But actually, like, no, like, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not good, and it can be up and down, and I've come to realize about myself that I'm a very sensitive person, and I'm very when I say different in that way, I mean there's lots of people who are sensitive, um but I guess the one key thing that we all have in common is that we're having the human experience. Okay, so I see this with clients who are wealthy. I see this with clients who are poor. I see this with clients who had trauma growing up. I see it with clients who didn't have trauma growing up. Sooner or later, yes, we have different degrees of the same experiences, and I'm not going to sit here and say we're all having the same experience. Unfortunately, some people are having horrific experiences in life. Um, but there is a lot of kind of like similar themes, We all feel, well, I say we all, maybe you're watching this and you think, and I don't feel that way, but the way I perceive it is a great many of us, if not all of us, feel inferior at times. We feel angry at times. We feel sad at times. We feel happy at times. We feel all the emotions, all the spectrum, okay? What I realized as well is a lot of the like fear of being who you really are, again, as I said, it's like a protection mechanism, but it's kind of because there's this disintegration, okay? And it's really about becoming friends with all the parts and having all the parts talk to one another, which sometimes we can be scared to do. And I see it a lot in other people, and it really sometimes, because it's taken me a long time to like actually, and there's a part of me that is cringing saying what I'm about to say and does not want me to say it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I really can see that I have done a lot of healing. I have a lot of emotional intelligence. I have a lot of self-awareness. And also, I still have things that I are in the shadow that I haven't worked on, that I am unaware of, and both of those things are true at the same time because, again, all the different parts. Okay, so even just acknowledgement of, okay, I've got these different parts, it doesn't box me in of like, oh, well, I'm this or I'm that. And sometimes I actually did this in my last video where I was like, oh, I'm an extrovert or I'm an introvert. It's like, well, maybe I'm both, Maybe in some situations I'm an extrovert, in some situations I'm more introverted. And I think the reason we label ourselves and we label people and we all this stuff is because we're trying to make sense of the world. We're trying to make sense of our experience because, again, it all comes down to threats. What's a threat? Um, I think this is like a big part of it anyway. So yeah, so this video, as I say, is just about kind of having a chat really about all of that. So I mean, hopefully you can resonate with it, and like as I say, in terms of the like being a therapist part of it, like I have really seen that we're all kind of having similar experiences, and the main thing that I would say we're all kind of like experiencing, which none of us talk about, or very few people talk about, is shame. Okay, so shame has stopped me from being who I want to be. And I'm still dealing with it. I mean, to some degree, I'm not saying I'm kind of constantly living in shame, but what I'm saying is there's certain things that like I don't want to talk about, I don't want to share, I don't want to, because of shame, because of like worry about rejection, worry about judgment, worry about all this stuff. And it's the one thing that can really truly link us and actually connect us because we all have this. And the thing with shame is that we don't want to show it to anyone else, which it's self-reinforcing because the more we don't show what makes us vulnerable to other people, the more that we are giving it power. Okay, so like actually I just said that and I was just like a light bulb. I was just like, yeah, that's spot on. It is spot on because it's through speaking out our wounds that actually we disempower we take the strength away from the wound, and we heal ourselves in a way because actually we also give other people an opportunity to be there for us. I mean, I think of so many times when I've gone through like traumas or shitty things, and I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes people haven't been there for me and it's made me feel so much worse and so alone. But there's been other times when actually it's really helped me to connect to people, and I have some really great friends. I do have fewer friends than I used to. Partly that's out of choice, if I'm honest, because I've become more kind of like selective. And again, the older I get, the more intentional I'm wanting to be about the relationships that I'm having, and the way I'm showing up in them and stuff like that. But one thing I think the vulnerability aspect in my personal life has really helped me with is actually connecting to real souls, and the amount of people that have told me like, "Oh, Jack, you're my only friend," or "There's only like a I've met many people like you," or like, and I don't want that to sound like kind of full of myself or anything. That's a part worrying about what you're thinking that's popping up when I'm saying that. Um, but yeah, so I think a lot of it comes down to just being genuine, being real, being raw, authentic, um, and it's yeah, it's people struggle with it. People really, really, really struggle with it, and maybe you struggle with it. I don't know. I mean, maybe if you don't, that's absolutely great. But yeah, perhaps you do, and if you do, that's okay. I think as I said, it's a normal thing because we are living in a world that does have a lot of judgment in. We are living in a world that wants to shame you, but really with shame, and maybe this is a whole other video I should be making. I should be making a whole video about shame. Um, I think that it's only powerful if we get behind that, if we agree with it. So let's say somebody judges you for something. Someone says like, actually, I really hate your t-shirt, Jack. Now I like this t-shirt, but let's suppose I got that in my head. I was like, oh, someone doesn't like it. Um, uh, maybe it's not a good t-shirt, maybe this, maybe that. Maybe it's making me look bigger because it's like the lines are going that way or like whatever the hell. Um, and then I start letting that infiltrate my mind and I start thinking, actually, yeah, like I kind of agree with that or whatever. Then I have literally just internalized that shame that I didn't need to, and actually, um, and that can like obviously then feed into like the fear of like living your life and just being who you are, so I admire nothing more than I was just actually watching a podcast with Katie Price about people randomly. It just popped up on my YouTube, so I clicked on it. And there's all these hateful judgmental comments. What does she look like, this that the other, which I always hate to see that when people are like tearing down, I was gonna say women. I was gonna people in general, but let's be honest, it happens to women mostly. And I can't stand it. I just think it's so. Whenever I see those comments, I just always think, and I will get to the point in a second about the video, but I always just think that okay, you're just showing. Well, at least to me, and I think other people that might perceive this, like it's showing the hatred they have for themselves that they're putting outside. Because if someone's got nothing but nasty words to say on the outside, I'm sure on the inside their head isn't that nice of a place to be. But the whole point is that Katie Price, like I actually met her once, like randomly. I don't know why I'm talking about Katie Price now, but the whole point is that she is really herself. She is really authentic. At least that's my perception, and it might seem ironic because she has all the surgery done and everything when I'm saying authentic, but to her core, who she is, her soul, she is speaking her truth. She is being unapologetic. She is saying what she's thinking. She's being unfiltered. And I think this is the thing. Again, with this channel, what I'm trying to move away from is like the filtering, the self filtering. Even to the point where, like, actually, I didn't upload videos so much before because I was like, oh, I need to edit them and I need to make sure the thumbnail's right and the title's right and all this stuff. And actually, I mentioned my friend Ish in my last video, but I really like that she just uploads, she just doesn't overthink it. And the perfectionist part of me that I developed very, very, very young, that believed I've got to be perfect or I've got to produce perfect things for them to be worthy or whatever. Otherwise, it's like, not good enough. So it's black and white thinking. I'm really, again, trying to kind of like move away from that part because that part, um, or recondition that part, you know, just letting that part know, hey, you don't need to be perfect, you know, to be worth something. And whether a bunch of people watch this video, which obviously I hope, or if they don't, it's all good, it's all valid, and yeah. So if you've enjoyed the video, please check out my other ones if you like. You can like the video. Obviously there's gonna be some like links in the description and stuff which you can check out too. I'm not gonna be too like pluggy again, because I don't want to be don't want to be like that. So yeah, bye. I'm just gonna end the video. Bye.